Just this morning, there was the Rugby World Cup final.
We're in Australia, just for context.
Yes.
So, yeah, 6 a.m. Yeah. The world...
On Sunday, the 29th of October.
We're not talking about the cricket final.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, South Africa and New Zealand, it's a rivalry as old as time. But I think, like, zooming back, this whole World Cup, this whole Rugby World Cup has been a pretty big success in my view. Like, there's so many... When you look at like, the final is a culmination of it, obviously, and that's predominantly what people are going to talk about. But there was so many story arcs and narratives in this particular World Cup that made it memorable. Obviously, Fiji's emergence as like a rugby powerhouse, being able to beat Australia's, downfall.
In a kind of a rebuild.
Yeah,
phase.
to rebuild. Like these are all storylines that make it entertaining. Portugal, they had like a victory against Fiji. I think that's their first win. Georgia, some of these smaller nations really stood up. I think Japan had a really good World Cup as well. So what we are now seeing is the game just become more competitive. And I think for these emerging sort of nations that have done their time, that have done their toil, it's just great to see it, right? Obviously, New Zealand, they had a shock defeat of Ireland, which just confuses me to say because I'm not really into rugby union, because for you and I, New Zealand, they're the powerhouse, right? Like, even though we don't follow rugby, and New Zealand has fallen off.
The four being Australia, New Zealand, England, and
South Africa.
Right?
South Africa, yeah. South Africa, simply to get here, had 2 1-point victories against France and England, right? So they worked for it, right? And in fitting fashion, South Africa defeats New Zealand in the World Cup finale, 12-11.
Whoa.
That's like
close.
It's perfect. So 3 games in a row, they've had a victory by 1 point. So they've grinded their way through and they've won it. Look, they did it all through penalties, but rugby union is a more strategic sort of game. And I think in the 27th minute this game had 3 yellow cards and 1 red card. So, look, there was passion in it.
It's basically soccer or other football.
There was passion in it. There was intensity in it. But Sam Cane, the New Zealand captain, can you imagine being the captain? He got a yellow card in the 27th minute, and then it got upgraded to a red card.
What did he do?
High tackle, like a high tackle, effectively. It's really interesting.
Even Schwartz what did he do?
How dare you, Sam?
Whoa.
It's interesting. Okay, so there were 2 yellow cards as well. Like, watching the whole officiating, like, I will say, I mean, it is rugby. There are going to be contacts and collisions. And we're seeing this in NRL as well. But they really had a very strict whistle in there. Like
that's good.
Which is good. The safety of the players is important. But a red card in a final in the first half, you're against it. You're actually like against it, right?
Yeah.
And New Zealand, the narrative of this game was South Africa, clinical, structured, strong in their set plays. They were stealing lineouts left, right, and center. But they weren't able to score. So New Zealand, with the flamboyance that New Zealand rugby has historically had, always seemed to threaten. And they scored the single try. They always seem to threaten South Africa. But when you're 1 man down, that's massive handicap. And unfortunately for them, they had 2 opportunities of, 1 a penalty and 1 a kick on conversion after try that I think they're going to obviously rue in hindsight. But, bravo to South Africa. They definitely won it. They did it their way. They really earned this World Cup. And I think 4 times South Africa has won the World Cup. So
What, consecutively?
not consecutively, I believe. But it puts them up as a rugby powerhouse, obviously. Yeah. But very impressive. But I think for me... just rue the fact that Fiji could have somehow been. But anyway, like, it was a good World Cup. They did an interesting narrative about this World Cup is they really did stretch the games. So I think it's been on for like 1.5 months. So what happened is at a certain level, they only played 1 game a week when they really could have done like multiple games. So it went from...
Because it was in France, right?
Yeah.
Are they in like different regions? Like, is it like
they are in different regions?
Isn't it in France like everyone has to catch trains?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has to catch trains now if it's like a domestic like time, right? So maybe that's what it is.
They really stretched French, man. You gotta Gotta love the French. Wherever the representation of the French is big. So there was a Star Watch in the final. So there was Novak Djokovic sitting with Rita Ora, your boy Tatiti. What is it? Tatui. Sorry. What's
Taika Waititi.
Sorry, I couldn't see him there. I'm just saying. You watch out. That
Well, because he's Kiwi. So, and I also
he should be. He's definitely there, right?
Yeah. Well, if
why is
Rita's-
Rita there and he's not there?
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
And then they did Cam Watch or Roger Federer
You.
doing his presidential handshake. He would make a good president just from the aesthetics. Trudeau, like they kind of look the same hair and all that stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he's retired.
Yeah, he's looking for other opportunities. Yeah.
Federer's LinkedIn open to opportunities, open to new adventures.
Really, that means open to sponsorships. Let's be real.
Open to new sponsorships. No, it was good. Kind of really enjoyed it. You know, we were going to talk about Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, but these bastards are still fighting.
Oh, it's still going on at the moment.
Still going on. They just know how to
Keep it
extend
going.
it.
Well, as in like the other fights beforehand, or
So what they do, like we can talk with not
Ever
only
so
the fight,
briefly,
ever so
because-
briefly, is this is in Saudi Arabia, so the time zone is a bit warped.
Yeah.
But you've seen like a Tyson Fury fight, like there's so much money in it, and so like in Middle East, there's a lot of like money for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But they extend these pre-entertainment, and they had.
got to get the ad
And
dollars
and they
in,
have-
make it rain.
And it's
Ching,
funny, I was
ching,
looking at the
ching.
comments. They have little baby, and they're like, the Saudis don't know who the hell this guy is. So this going like,
I don't know who little baby is. I thought you were talking about a little baby. And I'm
same,
like,
same.
whose baby? Like, are they safe? Or what's
anyway,
going on?
with all this
Why are they in
nonsense.
the fight?
Is it Hezbollah? I don't know. Like, you're trying to think if Hezbollah was
yeah,
there.
I was gonna say, yeah.
No buffering.
He probably was.
Live better.
Anyway, that's my sports
Life's
rant.
better.